The cameras weren't supposed to catch it, but they did, every second, every blink, every crack in the facade. The studio lights burned hot, the chatter in the control room froze, and for the first time in years, Trump's inner circle looked shaken, really shaken. It happened the moment the headline hit the live ticker, Comey vindicated. Federal judge confirms no wrongdoing. Gasps rippled across the set. But the shock wasn't about Comey being right. It was about who had predicted this collapse long before the courts ever did. Denzel Washington. Weeks earlier, during a tense late-night interview, Denzel had leaned forward, lowered his voice, and delivered a warning so precise, so eerily calm, that the clip later became the most replayed 12 seconds on American social media. When the truth comes out, he had said, "Don't look at the fall, look at the foundation that was already cracking." Nobody listened then. They listened now. Trump's advisors rushed into back rooms, phones vibrating non-stop as the Comey decision unleashed a political earthquake. MAGA loyalists scrambled for talking points, the comms team panicked, and in the middle of the storm, a leaked audio recording surfaced, a recording that exposed exactly how deeply the corruption had reached. And again, Denzel's old words returned like prophecy. The fallout had only begun. But what no one knew, not the anchors, not the pundits, not even Trump's closest allies, was that Denzel had been briefed by someone inside the machine. Someone who had seen the rot. Someone who trusted him more than they trusted anyone in Washington. And tonight, that person was ready to talk. The message arrived on Denzel's encrypted line at 2:14 a.m., no caller ID, no signature, just a single sentence, "It's happening. We need to talk." He knew exactly who it was. For months, Denzel had maintained quiet contact with a former DOJ cybersecurity strategist, known only as Marlo. A ghost in Washington. A man who had seen Trump world from the inside, watched the gears grind, watched the corruption spread, watched truth get suffocated under layers of intimidation and media spin. And now Marlo was ready to break. Denzel arrived at the designated location, an abandoned freight terminal outside Baltimore. Rusted beams, flickering lights, the echo of far-off machinery. A place where no one asked questions. A place where secrets were born and buried. Marlo stepped from the shadows. Haggard, unshaven, clutching a flash drive like it was a detonator. "It's worse than you said," he whispered. "Worse than anyone knows." "And Comey being cleared? That's just the fuse." Denzel didn't blink. "Start from the beginning." Marlo handed him the drive. Inside are internal memos, unredacted logs, and a transcript of a meeting between Trump's senior advisors. They plan to fabricate evidence to permanently bury the Comey investigation. Not spin it. Bury it. Destroy careers, silence witnesses, rewrite the narrative. Denzel felt the weight of the information, heavy, electric, dangerous. "And the recordings?" Denzel asked. Marlo nodded. 3 of them. Including one where Trump himself says, "When Comey falls, everything else falls with him." He hesitated, voice trembling. "But here's the part nobody knows, the collapse started long before today. And you were right, they built the whole thing on a lie." Denzel stared at the drive, realizing what this meant. Comey being vindicated wasn't the climax. It was the trigger. Somewhere out there, Trump's inner circle was scrambling, desperate to contain an explosion already in motion. They didn't yet know the blast radius included Denzel. And that he was no longer just a witness. He was now the messenger of their downfall. By sunrise, the flash drive Marlo handed over was already secured in Denzel's private studio office. A dim, concrete-walled room he used whenever a script required deep research. Except this wasn't a film. This wasn't rehearsal. This was real. Denzel plugged the drive into an isolated laptop, no Wi-Fi, no cloud, nothing that could be traced. The screen flickered, loaded, and the first file appeared. Operation Evergreen, Internal Strategy Briefing. The name alone felt like a warning shot. He opened the audio file. Static. Then voices, familiar, sharp, unmistakable. Trump advisors. Senior operatives. One voice led the others with a cold, rehearsed certainty. Comey goes down first. Public confidence collapses. Then we redirect the narrative toward national security threats. Manufactured if necessary. Another voice chimed in. If he's cleared, everything unravels. So don't let him be cleared. Denzel froze. This wasn't just misconduct. It was orchestration, political engineering at the highest level. An empire built on the assumption that no one would ever expose the blueprint. But now the blueprint was in his hands. He clicked the second file, a transcript of an internal meeting stamped, classified, eyes only. Halfway through, a chilling line jumped out. If the truth leaks, blame the deep state. Discredit. Distract. Destroy. Denzel leaned back, exhaling slowly. This isn't politics, he muttered. This is a playbook for deception. Then, his phone buzzed. A news alert lit up the screen in bold red. White House in crisis, sources confirm Trump furious after Comey vindication. Another alert followed. Breaking, anonymous insider claims a major leak is coming. The timing wasn't coincidence. Someone in Trump's circle knew something had slipped through their fingers, but they didn't know who had it, or how much danger they were in. Denzel closed the laptop, heart steady, mind sharp. For years he'd watched scandals come and go, watched the powerful twist truth into spectacle. But this time was different. He wasn't reacting to the story. He was becoming the story. And the people who built the empire now cracking apart? They were about to learn he wasn't the kind of man who backed down from the truth. He was the kind of man who amplified it. Inside the West Wing, the mood flipped from confidence to quiet terror. Phones rang non-stop, staffers sprinted between offices, and Trump's senior advisors locked themselves in a conference room with the blinds pulled shut. They didn't know who had leaked the material, but they knew one thing for sure: the Comey ruling wasn't just a loss. It was the first domino. A strategist slammed a folder on the table. We need a containment plan, now. If those recordings surface, it's over. Another advisor leaned forward, whispering harshly, we stick to the script. Deny everything. Call it deep state sabotage. But even he didn't sound convinced. Then a name dropped like a stone into the room. Someone said Denzel Washington's involved. Silence. Confusion. Fear. Trump's communications director frowned. Why would an actor be anywhere near this? A junior aide replied, because someone trusted him more than they trust us. And that realization hit harder than any headline. The leak hadn't come from outside enemies, it had come from inside. The president's chief of staff stepped in, pale and sweating. If Denzel has anything, even a fragment, he becomes the center of the narrative. We need to find out what he knows. Another voice added, and who gave it to him? Meanwhile, far from the White House chaos, Denzel reviewed the files again and realized the pressure building in Washington was only phase one. The real storm would come when the public heard the voices, the plans, the quiet admissions no one ever expected to be revealed. The empire wasn't just cracking. It was collapsing from the inside, and they finally understood that the truth wasn't their biggest threat. Denzel was. Denzel sat alone in his studio office, the only light coming from the monitor in front of him. He opened the final audio file, the one Marlowe said was the nuclear option. The screen flashed rec_07_master. He pressed play. At first, only shuffling papers and low murmurs filled the speakers. Then a clear, unmistakable voice cut through. Trump. If Comey walks, we all burn. Control the narrative. Break him before he breaks us. Denzel froze. The tone wasn't political strategy, it was fear wrapped in command. Another voice followed, one he recognized from countless news clips. The chief strategist. We can manufacture instability. Push headlines questioning his credibility. Leak rumors if we must. Trump replied, sharper this time. Do whatever it takes. Just don't let the truth get ahead of us. Denzel paused the file. The room felt smaller, heavier. This wasn't spin or bluster. This was conspiracy spoken plainly, carelessly, because they never expected the outside world to hear it. He replayed the last sentence. Don't let the truth get ahead of us. That was the line. The one that would make headlines explode, legal analysts panic, and Trump's orbit crumble. He backed up the recording, added secure encryption, and uploaded a copy to a drive hidden beneath a false panel in his desk. Not for safety. For inevitability. Before he could stand, his phone lit up. Unknown number. No caller ID. He answered cautiously. A trembling voice whispered, they know you have it. Get somewhere safe. Now. Denzel didn't ask who it was. He didn't need to. Because outside his window, a black SUV rolled slowly past his driveway. And that was the moment he understood. This wasn't a leak anymore. This was a countdown. The black SUV didn't speed. It didn't idle. It crawled, slow, deliberate, like it was measuring every window of Denzel's home. Tinted glass, government plates, no identifying marks. The kind of vehicle used when someone wants to be seen but not named. Denzel stepped back from the window, staying out of the line of sight. His phone buzzed again, another unknown number. He ignored it. Anyone trying this hard to reach him wasn't calling to warn him. They were calling to track him. He grabbed the encrypted laptop, the flash drive, and a small black duffel bag he kept for emergencies, scripts, travel, unexpected press runs. But tonight it became something else, an escape kit. Outside, the SUV stopped. Not parked. Stopped. Two silhouettes shifted inside. One lifted something, maybe a phone, maybe a camera, maybe worse. Denzel's pulse stayed steady, but he felt the shift in the air. This wasn't paranoia. This was surveillance. Then his secure line vibrated. This time, a text from Marlowe. Don't go out the front. They're not there to talk. Denzel exhaled. He moved toward the back hallway, the one that led to the side exit hidden between hedges. Only a few people knew about it, and none of them worked for the government. He slipped outside. The night air was cool, quiet, too quiet. No cars, no joggers, no dogs barking. Like the neighborhood was holding its breath. As he made his way toward his car, another message appeared. They're panicking. Your name came up in their crisis meeting. They want the recording destroyed. Denzel typed back one sentence. Then they're already too late. He started the engine, pulled out silently, and watched the SUV shrink in his rearview mirror. They hadn't seen him leave. But they would soon. Because the moment he reached his destination, the truth he carried wouldn't belong to him anymore. It would belong to the world. Denzel drove without music, without GPS, taking only backroads he knew by memory. Every turn was deliberate. Every shadow felt like it carried eyes. By the time he reached the safe house, a converted photography loft in an industrial block, his hands were steady, but his mind was razor-sharp. The building looked abandoned from the outside, chipped brick, a rusted loading door, a flickering street lamp. But inside, it was airtight. Reinforced locks, blackout curtains, sound-dampening panels. A place built not for comfort, but for truth. He set the laptop on a metal table and powered it up. The screen glowed pale blue, illuminating the room. Denzel inserted the encrypted drive, entered a sequence Marlowe had given him, and watched the files appear once more. He didn't upload everything. Not yet. He chose one clip, the shortest, but the most damning. Trump's voice saying, "If he's cleared, everything falls apart. Control the narrative. Break him." Just 11 seconds. Enough to shift a nation. He opened a secure whistleblower platform used by investigative journalists. Anonymous, decentralized, untraceable. He dragged the file into the server. The progress bar crawled slowly, inch by inch, the weight of history in each pixel. Outside, a truck rolled past. Metal groaned. Footsteps echoed faintly, or maybe it was his imagination. He refused to check. The upload hit 72%. Then his phone buzzed again. "Marlowe. Whatever you do, don't shut it down. They're scanning networks." Denzel typed fast. "It's already going up. 83%. 91%. 97%. He held his breath. Upload complete. Somewhere across the country, a journalist's alert flashed red. Somewhere in Washington, an aide's phone vibrated with panic. Somewhere in the West Wing, a crisis team realized they were no longer containing a leak. They were drowning in it. And Denzel, standing alone in the dim light of the safe house, whispered to himself, "Now the clock starts." The upload had been live for only 9 minutes when the first spark hit. A small, independent reporter in Chicago tweeted the file with a simple caption, "This is real." Within seconds, it spread like wildfire. Retweets. Reposts. Stitch videos. Reaction streams. Algorithms ignited, pushing the clip into millions of feeds before anyone in Washington could blink. Cable news scrambled. Producers shouted across newsrooms. Anchors stared at monitors in stunned silence as Trump's voice echoed on loop. "If he's cleared, everything falls apart. Control the narrative. Break him." The line wasn't just incriminating. It was undeniable. By the 10th minute, hashtags exploded. Hashtag #BreakHimGate. Hashtag Comey was right. Hashtag Denzel knew. Commentators tried to spin it. Some called it edited. Some called it fake. But audio analysts quickly debunked the denials. VoicePrint match, 100%. No manipulation. No distortion. It was raw truth. Denzel watched the chaos unfold from the safehouse window, the faint glow of city lights reflecting off the glass. His heart wasn't racing. His breathing stayed calm. He had acted, now the country was responding. Then his phone buzzed again, this time with a message from an unknown signal relay. "You just put a target on your back. They'll move fast." He locked his jaw. That was fine. He was moving faster. Across Washington, the crisis room went silent as an aide finally said it out loud. "Sir, the leak came from outside the government. And it leads back to Denzel Washington." Trump's chief strategist slammed a fist on the table. "Find him. Now." But Denzel wasn't running. He was waiting. Because the clip they were panicking over? It was only piece 1. And he had 9 more. As the country erupted online, Denzel organized the remaining files across the table, 10 in total, each one a different kind of bomb. He labeled them quickly. Strategy call, narrative plan, witness pressure, media manipulation, security brief, internal panic, and the final one, evergreen collapse. Each file had the power to fracture a different pillar of Trump's inner circle. Together, they weren't just leaks. They were a blueprint of corruption. Proof the empire wasn't under attack. It had been rotting from within. He played another clip quietly, just loud enough to feel its weight. If the public sees the documents, pivot to distraction. Crisis theater always works. Another voice added. If Comey gets cleared, blame infiltration. Push doubt hard. Denzel sighed, shaking his head. This wasn't strategy. It was manipulation disguised as leadership. He moved to the whiteboard and mapped out the release sequence. Not all at once. Not too slow. Each drop had to hit at the exact moment the previous one peaked. He wrote. Drop 1, ignition. Drop 2, confirmation. Drop 3, internal panic. Drop 4, collapse trigger. It wasn't sabotage. It was exposure with precision. As he planned, his burner phone lit up one more time. A video call request. Unknown. Encrypted. Against his better judgment, he answered. Marlowe's face appeared, lit only by a laptop glow. He looked rattled, voice shaky. They know I'm the source. Denzel narrowed his eyes. Where are you? In transit, Marlowe whispered. But listen. Evergreen wasn't just about Comey. It was bigger, much bigger. The last file explains everything. Denzel asked quietly, how dangerous is it? Marlowe swallowed. It's the kind of file people disappear over. Before Denzel could respond, the call cut out, static, then silence. He lowered the phone slowly. The 10th file suddenly felt heavier. And for the first time all night, Denzel realized. This wasn't just about exposing truth. It was about surviving it. Denzel sat in front of the laptop, the 10th file glowing on the screen like a warning. Evergreen collapse. The name alone felt like a locked door no one was meant to open. He hesitated, not out of fear, but out of understanding. Whatever was inside would change everything. He clicked. A document unfolded, meeting minutes, encrypted chats, internal memos. But at the top, highlighted in red, was a single sentence that froze him. Evergreen exists to neutralize any individual who threatens narrative control. Individuals. Not institutions. Not agencies. People. And then he saw the list. Names. Dates. Tags. Whistleblowers. Analysts. Staffers. Journalists. And one name near the bottom, stamped with an orange priority marker. Washington, D. High influence, high risk. They had identified him months ago. Not because he was political. Not because he was a target. But because he told the truth too clearly. A noise outside snapped him back. Tires. Doors shutting. Boots hitting pavement. The kind of synchronized movement that never meant anything good. The kind that meant they weren't coming to threaten him. They were coming to erase him. Denzel uploaded the final file to the same whistleblower drop. Progress bar, 12%. 27%. 41%. Shadows passed under the door. 52%. 68%. 79%. A voice outside whispered, he's inside. Breach on my mark. Denzel didn't run. He didn't hide. He placed both hands on the table and stared at the screen as the bar climbed. 92%. 96%. 100%. Upload complete. The lights flicked off. The door burst open. Armed silhouettes stormed the room. But the truth had already escaped. Sirens rose outside as helicopters pivoted toward the news towers already receiving the file. Phones vibrated across the country. Screens lit up. Anchors screamed breaking news. The final leak detonated through the nation like thunder. Trump's empire didn't just crack. It collapsed. Denzel stepped forward into the flashlight beams, calm, unshaken. Because they could silence a room. But they could never silence what he'd already released.